welcome back to my YouTube channel, Bookshelves and Beyond. I hope you are all having a wonderful day. I know I sure am. It is so hot in the UK at the minute, and we finally took the plunge and bought an aircon. So I'm living it up at home with an air conditioner. So life is great, life is great. But today I have my wrap up for July, which is really exciting because I think I actually did a really good job with my reads this month. There was obviously a few books that I did not enjoy and I would not recommend, but there's some that I loved and obviously I would recommend so much. So somehow this month, well, last month I managed to read 6 books, which is really good. I read 3 physical books, and then I read the other 3 on my Kindle. So I always find that I tend to read a lot quicker on my Kindle. I don't know if anyone else shares that weird little piece of information, that weird stat, but I seem to read a lot quicker on my Kindle. I don't know if it's because changing pages a lot easier or the flow of the text on the screen is a lot easier. I don't know, but I'm a lot quicker reading on there anyway. Now the first book that I read this month, or July rather, was Satan's Affair, and this book is the first book, well I say first book in Cat and Mouse, it's like a, I don't know what it's called, it's like a book before the series starts, if that makes sense. People typically recommend reading Satan's Affair before you read the Cat and Mouse duet, so that is what I did. I knew I wanted to go in with Cat and Mouse duet this month, so I read Satan's Affair first and I read that on my Kindle. So I actually read this really quick and I read this within 4 days. I loved it. This book was only 180 pages according to Goodreads. That might be slightly wrong because sometimes Goodreads does get it wrong. It was really good. So this was essentially about a girl who was working at a travelling fair who would travel around the US, and it was a haunted fair? Haunted. I don't know why I said that word weirdly, but it was a haunted like Halloween fair. So in sort of the Halloween months and autumn months, every year it would travel across the US, and it followed a girl who was travelling with this fair and was essentially working there but not quite working there, and she would work in one of the haunted houses. Now we follow her in, I think, like her 4th year of doing it, and she is a doll who was hired within the walls of the haunted house that was a doll house. And it was really cool actually, and it was really interesting to read this because it's quite important to read this before going into the duet, the Cat and Mouse duet. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I rated it 5 stars. Maybe that was a bit over generous, but I loved this book and I read it really quickly. That is that, and I'm going to go straight on to the rest of the Cat and Mouse duet just so that I can kind of cover that first, because obviously the books cover the same thing. So I ended up reading Haunting Adeline and Hunting Adeline, so I finished the whole series. I haven't read Where's Molly, which is a part of that universe. I haven't read that. I might do. I'm not too sure if I'm going to bother with it, if I'm honest. I might not, I'm not too sure. But yeah, so I read the Cat and Mouse duet. I rated it all 5 stars and I think it was a fantastic series, and it is quite heavy. It's quite a lot to take in. So I would obviously recommend to anyone who is thinking about reading it to check the trigger warnings. Even if you don't think you will need to check the trigger warnings, I would recommend checking them anyway. I don't feel like I'm someone that needs to check trigger warnings, but I still checked them anyway in this case because it was one of those books that I have not read anything as graphic as this. I think that's probably the word that I'll use. It is quite intense and definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, an 18+ 5 stars for me. It's definitely a me sort of book. I really enjoyed it. I loved the characters in it and the development of the characters. It was really good. The second book probably, although I rated both of them 5 stars, the second book probably wasn't as good as the first book. I feel like the second book didn't need to be as long. It was probably a bit too long. So the first book was about 583 pages and the second book, so Hunting Adeline, was about 649 pages, which for me seemed a bit long for what was in the book. There was something that happened at the end of the first book that was quite big in terms of the storyline. It was quite a big moment for the characters, and because that got resolved midway through book 2, you've got the whole, you know, 300-400 odd pages of kind of felt like filler to me. So I definitely felt like the second book was perhaps a little bit too long. However, it was still really good. Absolutely loved the characters, absolutely loved the atmosphere, the everything about it. I just thought it was absolutely fantastic. I would definitely recommend it. It's probably my favourite series that I've read this year, that I've finished this year. It's probably in my top 5 favourite series that I've ever finished. I really did enjoy it, but like I say, it's one of those books that it's definitely not for everyone. It's not your average, you know, small town heartfelt romance. It's quite serious. It's got some very adult themes in there. There are some very bad things that happen in these books, basically. So take that what you will. I loved them anyway. It didn't affect me reading it. The next books that I read are actually the 3 physical books. So I read the Cat and Mouse duet on my Kindle because it's actually on Kindle Unlimited. So if you have Kindle Unlimited, then obviously check that if you want to read it as well. You can also check HD Carlton's website for the trigger warnings, because I think it was originally removed from Amazon because of the trigger warnings. So you'll have to check the website, but please do that. So the next book that I read that was physical is the Atlas 6. So I was actually gifted this quite a long time ago from someone on Instagram. Someone gifted me the Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake. I'm sorry to all the fans out there, but this book was awful. I sound so bad when I say things like that, but the thing is that we all don't love the same books. So I'm gonna be brutally honest. If you love this book and you're watching this video, then I'm so sorry, but I didn't get it, and maybe that's me being dumb or silly or whatever. Maybe I just missed the point of it, but I didn't get this book and I didn't enjoy it. So I rated it 2 stars. I could have done without reading this book. I could have left this book and never, you know, I could have saved myself some time not reading this. It was so difficult to get through. It was so... It's like Dark Academia, but it was trying to be modern. Like, the characters were trying to be young and hip, and it wasn't working. And the characters were really insufferable, and it was like reading it. Everyone had main character syndrome, and it was like, wasn't for me. I'm not really, unfortunately, I'm not really a huge sort of Dark Academia book fan, so anything, you know, that's academics or anything like that, I'm not really a huge fan of. So when I read Babel, I didn't really enjoy that either, because that was like reading an essay. That whole experience was like clawing my hair out or my eyeballs out my eye sockets. This was just very lackluster. I was expecting a bit more, because people have been online, I haven't been, but people online have been comparing this heavily to books like Harry Potter. I don't know why people have been doing that. Maybe it's just simply because there is magic in this book. I didn't enjoy it. I felt like this book was way too young for me. This probably would suit an audience of about 14, 15, and I think this book would probably suit. The issue probably is because I usually read romance, so if a book isn't romance, I have to really enjoy it. So maybe that's probably it, but I really didn't enjoy it, and I think I really clocked out at about page 200, and after that I was just so mentally done with it. So unfortunately this book was not a hit for me. I really didn't enjoy it, and it's such a shame because I love the front cover of this book. I love the eye on there and the whole kind of celestial feel to it. I love that, but yeah, it just didn't really hit with me, so this one was a bit disappointing. So the next book that I read was actually a manga. So this was the 3rd volume of Vampire Knight, which is a manga, and also it is an anime series. I have watched the anime up to season 2, I think. I watched it a while ago when it was on Netflix and I actually really enjoyed it. So I'm reading the manga now and I'm collecting these as well. So this is the 3rd volume. This is essentially about a school that has a night class and a day class. The day class are humans and the night class are vampires. The humans don't know that the vampires are vampires. They just think that they're humans that just attend the school at night. They don't tend to cross paths because obviously they attend the school at daytime and nighttime. They do stay on campus, but they don't, like I say, they don't cross paths or anything like that. The story actually follows a character called Yuki, who is the adopted daughter of the headmaster of the school, of the academy, and it also follows Zero. He was also adopted by the headmaster at a later date as well, and they are what they call disciplinary committee. Those two, that's it, that's what I'm thinking of. They're part of what they call like this disciplinary committee, and they're tasked with trying to prevent the day class from coming into contact with the night class, and if they do, they try to minimise the risks and all that sort of thing. The headmaster created this school because he wants vampires and humans to live peacefully, but obviously he's not going to tell the humans that the vampires are vampires because they'll just be terrified and all that sort of thing. So that is essentially what it is. This particular volume is obviously continuing from the series. Really enjoyed it. I have given this 5 stars again, as I will always give these mangas because I think they are absolutely brilliant. This is definitely one of my favourites out there. I really also enjoy reading fairy tale as well. I also watched the anime for that. So I'm really enjoying and getting the manga and collecting them as well. A lot of them are also on Kindle Unlimited, and I think I've also started collecting Tokyo Ghoul as well, which is also another great manga. But yeah, this is the one that I decided to read this month, and I'm absolutely loving it. I would definitely recommend reading manga for anyone else out there. Obviously it reads back to front and it is super easy to read because it's obviously pictures mostly, but yeah, really enjoy this one, and it will always be one of my favourites. Going on to the last and final book that I read in July. So this is the 6th book that I managed to read in July, and again it's another physical copy that I had. I've had this in my collection for quite a while. I originally bought it from, I think I bought it from The Works about a year ago, but I'm not too sure. I can't actually remember, and I could be completely wrong because I usually am, and this book probably has only been out for a couple of months. No, it says 2022, so yeah, probably about last year. But this book has some pretty bad reviews online, if I'm being completely honest. It does have some pretty interesting sort of mixed reviews anyway. And this is My Killer Vacation by Tessa Bailey. It's a very short book, and I wanted to get this in while we're in summer because this is kind of summer read, you know, the main character's on vacation and all that sort of thing, so I thought that's gonna go well with this. Well, it's a romance, obviously, you can kind of tell from the front cover. So Taylor goes on holiday to Cape Cod with her brother. Her brother's always done really bad with money and stuff like that, so she saves up to take him on holiday to a really lovely beachside destination in a rental house. When they get there, they discover a dead body in the rental house that they were supposed to be staying in, and after they discover the dead body, they encounter a bounty hunter who is tasked with finding out who killed the guy within the rental house. The bounty hunter has a bad sort of first experience with Taylor, but they end up working together to try and figure out who did it, and they end up falling in love and all that sort of thing. But yeah, it's got some really bad reviews online. I actually gave it 4 stars because I really thoroughly enjoyed this. It was a really quick read as well. It's about 280 pages, I think. Really quick, perfect for this sort of time of year because it's set obviously in a beachside place, so it's perfect for the summer sun. I thought that Taylor was an interesting main character. She was a little bit annoying here and there, especially when she was having her inner monologue. That was probably the most annoying parts, was the parts where she was talking through her inner monologue, specifically about the bounty hunter and stuff like that. I felt like the bounty hunter was a good character as well. He was a little bit annoying in parts, but I thought he was a really good character. A little odd in places, but it was just a really lovely romance that I really enjoyed. There wasn't really much wrong with it, but there wasn't really much right with it, if that makes sense. It was kind of like a middle of the park, and that's why I gave it 4 stars. Like, I don't think I'd ever reread this, but if someone said to me, was this book good, I'd say yeah, it was a good book, but I don't think I'd ever reread it. So yeah, that is the last book that I ended up reading in July. I had a reasonably good month. I enjoyed everything that I read apart from the Atlas 6. I won't be continuing with the series. I'm probably just going to donate the book to charity because I did not like it that much. I feel like it's probably harsh the amount I didn't like that book, but I don't know, it just really didn't like it. And I don't know why, because it's got good reviews and all that sort of thing, so I don't know what's wrong with me. Other than that, my plans for August, I'm not too sure what I plan on reading actually. I've just started Glint, which is the 2nd book in the Plated Prisoner series by Raven Kennedy. I loved the 1st book, and I know for a fact I'm gonna love this whole entire series, so maybe it's a month for binge reading the whole series. So that is obviously something that's on my list. Maybe I'll read 1 a month going on from here out because I don't want to rush through it. I'm not really too sure what else I'm going to be reading. I think I might read the Romantasy book that we got in our last Romantasy box. I can't remember off the top of my head what that is, but I might do that. I might also read some standalones because I know I've got quite a few standalones on my TBR as well. Maybe go through them. I do need to finish my blind TBR books as well, which I've really stagnated with them because I think at the minute I'm just wanting to read books that I'm in the mood for, and whenever I do my blind TBR I just really can't be bothered. So that's the unfortunate truth of that. There are some series that I need there are some series that I need to start, but I'm trying to just finish series first before starting any more. So I might read perhaps that Nectar of the Wicked book by Ella Fields, which was, I think, Romantasy in our Romantasy box, but if not, it's definitely a fantasy romance anyway. I really want to read My Dark Romeo because I've owned that for a while as well, and I love the front cover. That book has such a lovely front cover. So maybe I'll be reading that, but I'm not too sure, and I'm not going to set in stone anything that I'm going to be reading in August because I just want to go with the flow, which is why I don't tend to do videos on my planned TBR for the next month because I really don't know what I'm doing. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below what you managed to read in July, and make sure to like and subscribe as well, especially if you liked the video. Make sure to follow me on all of my social media. My Instagram and TikTok are always included in the description boxes below, including my Goodreads and also my Vinted if you are interested in taking a look. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day and a fantastic week, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!